afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Friday afternoon session of Art of Life Explorations. For a moment, I just forgot what it was that I was doing. Art of Life Explorations. I'm Angela Hardy from Cloud9. For those of you who've never met me, my purpose and passion in life is to teach people how the mind works to create their felt experience, to teach people to love themselves, to be happy in themselves, to have confidence, to have self-esteem, to have self-worth. I'm a kinesiologist by trade, as well as an NLP practitioner, and I teach something called the 3 principles, which is life-changing when it comes to mental, emotional states. So that's what I do, to teach people how to be well and to have freedom and emotional freedom in their lives. And apropos of that, I've started this series of interviews where I speak to people who do amazing things that help people to be well in their lives as well. And we've done all sorts of interviews with all sorts of really interesting people. And today we're speaking to Dr. Robin Kohler. And he is a really fascinating guy. This is Dr. Robin Kohler. I'm just going to call you Robin or Rob. You know, my brother's name is Rob.
Robin's cool.
Robin is a mate of mine, actually, and he is a naturopath, an iridologist, and a functional medical specialist, functional medicine specialist. Functional medicine, that's how you say it, right? A functional medicine
Functional medicine practitioner, yes.
Practitioner, okay. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, we're going to have Robin explain a little bit about what a functional medicine practitioner is. But the reason that I really wanted to talk to Robin today, and what's so interesting to me about the kind of work that he does and the way that he approaches health and healing and well-being, is because I find that in the allopathic, the straightforward allopathic medicine, the doctor-doctor medicine, we're looking at symptoms and we're medicating the symptoms with drugs. And I don't subscribe to that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I need antibiotics, I'm going on antibiotics, right? Medicine has an amazing, amazing capacity to help you. But functional medicine is about looking at the whole body as a single unit, and about looking at making the whole body naturally well so that the body can heal itself and not just maintain the status quo by dealing with the symptoms. So, Robin, why don't you tell us more about functional medicine, what it is, and then tell us also about iridology, because, well, we're going to talk about that later. Tell us about functional medicine first.
Yeah, yes. Functional medicine is one of my passions. Ever since it came to South Africa, was offered in 2012. I've been attending every seminar I can find. And what functional medicine is a systems biology approach to analyzing your body.
So what does that mean in English?
Oh, okay. So in the average Western medicine model, you'll notice we have different specialities, specialists.
Yeah.
You know, say you hurt your wrist and you go to an orthopedic surgeon who specializes on wrists. Lo and behold, you say your shoulder's sore as well. You're going to be sent to his colleague who specializes in shoulders. And these specialities have gone into very specific areas of the body and in great detail. And then the bigger picture gets missed, you see.
And by virtue of the fact that surgeon is part of their name, you're going to end up getting cut, because that's how they know how to solve the problem.
Bread and butter. I mean, not to say that surgery isn't life-saving; it can help.
No,
but what the key difference is, allopathic medicine it's all based around disease. So the primary function of the doc is to diagnose a disease condition. So because there's a set drug regimen, protocol, or surgical procedure associated with the disease condition.
Right.
And once the diagnosis is found, you just follow the protocol that's being tried and tested by the pharmaceutical industry, and you just do as you're told. Unfortunately, patients are getting quite fed up with this approach because they ask a lot of questions like, well, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening now? What am I doing that's perpetuating this disease process? What can I do to reverse it? And they're not getting answers. I mean, the best I've heard so far is it's just genetic. And now we all know about epigenetics, that you can turn on and off your genes. So that's no longer
right. So that's not a good answer.
No. And then 90% of your genes you can turn on or off. So that's no longer an excuse. You can say, oh, it's aging. I'm afraid we do get older, but aging is natural and it doesn't need to be debilitating at all. And then So you're given, if you're given anything at all. But now the question, functional medicine has come to fill that gap to answer these questions for the patients. So what they do is we divide the body into 7 functional systems, such as energy production, detoxification, inflammation, immune defense, assimilation of nutrients, communication, transport. They go into the exact biochemistry of how these systems work to the molecule. And then they see which of these systems let the body fall into a disease state in the first place.
Right.
And so they go through all the physical systems, and then they go into the emotional as well as the spiritual health of the patient is a big consideration for health. And so it's quite an in-depth process of analyzing each unique person to see where their weaknesses are, so you can help them overcome them on their own.
So functional medicine is about using the symptoms to track the actual underlying problem, whether it is emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's in any one of your systems. I mean, when I see somebody with a pain in their knee, I know as a postural specialist that the pain in the knee is probably coming from the hip, because the pain in the knee is a symptom that is a place where your body compensates for the problem in the hip, and that's why you experience pain in the knee. And I think medicine is very much the same. I mean, when you're sick, when you're not well, it's not the symptom that's saying the symptom is the thing we need to get rid of. Where's it coming from? What's the actual problem here?
Yes. It's a much broader view on, so when you see a physical symptom or a disease manifest, it's often just the starting point in functional medicine. It's not the end point. And the investigative process is to try and find that starting point and then to reverse it. And first using lifestyle changes and then utilizing diet, and then moving to natural medicine, nutraceutical, herbal, homeopathic. And then lastly, they do functional medicine. We do utilize pharmaceutical medication, but it is kind of your last approach. And they check each pharmaceutical medication, the pros and cons on all 7 systems, not just the one you're trying to treat. And if the pros outweigh the cons, which often they don't, I'm afraid, but if they do, they'll use the minimum dose possible for the shortest period of time to get your desired results and then to get off of it. And so, and while you following your healing journey of returning your body to and mind and heart to optimal health.
Yes. It's very interesting to me. I mean, I've done a lot of study around mind-body medicine, how the mind works to help the body to heal, how the body works, how nutrition works. And my greatest bugbear ever is I listened to this guy talk about allopathic medicine, and he was talking, I think he was talking about cancer actually originally, but he was saying that in America, the doctors do less than 1 hour of nutrition in their entire training. It makes the top of my head want to blow right off, because, correct me if I'm wrong, my belief system is that the gut and nutrition and the way that you get nutrition, the assimilation of nutrition, that is the center of everything, and that is where you've got to start most of the time. If you don't have nutrition, if you don't have building blocks, you're screwed.
100%. I mean, how's your body supposed to repair and rebuild itself and improve itself if you keep giving it poison? And and if you're adopting bad habits that keep damaging your body on a day-to-day basis, they're going to take their toll. So it's like that's the front lines of disease. It's often just ignored. So we should never ignore it. Yeah.
And tell me this, do you find, because I know that people they're lazy. I mean, sorry guys, they're lazy. They want to take a pill and get done. And all of this having to clean up my colon and repair my colon and juice and not eat these things that I love and are junk food and do exercise and look after myself and not stress as much. Do you find that your clients are resistant to that, or are they just so far gone that they will do anything by the time they see you?
Okay, so looking after one's health, you see, what we choose to do is whatever we feel is most valuable to us at the time, or we wouldn't do it. Okay, so what motivates us is very important, and usually people only become concerned about health when something goes wrong, you see. And then you notice this damn sore toe every day because it's bugging you, like terrible. And then, so now you're like, okay, I'm going to do something for my health. I've got gout now, and I'm going to stop drinking red wine. Okay, cool. And then eventually your gout attack goes away, and then you forget, and you start drinking red wine again. And then 6 months later, you get another gout attack. So what happens is, eventually one gets to a point where the discomfort of the disease to avoid it becomes a bigger priority than enjoying the bottle of wine. So, and that realization comes to people at different times. And I've had this debate even with my identical twin brother. So we had a family gathering, and it was at his house, and the food, he's not in health, he's an accountant, so he doesn't really care much about that. So we're having wraps, and the healthiest thing on display was cucumber, and I was like, okay. and then he went and he peeled it, and I was like, you just taken off the best part. I mean, why did you do that? Like, he goes, no, that tastes bitter, man. It tastes rubbish. I don't eat that. And I was like, what? You mean you choose your food according to taste and not for what it does for you? And he goes, yes, of course. And I can understand that it's a mindset where one has to change. A mindset is that, like, your body is your temple, and you want to give it what it needs to be its best possible state so you can get on with your life purpose and journey. And disease and illnesses just hold you back from that. So, and we have to eat anyway. So if you eat food that's beneficial to your body and that it maintains its health, that's just a win-win situation. And you can slightly adjust one's diet until you can tweak it the right direction so you don't keep hurting yourself. Like, I mean, would you keep, swallowing cyanide if you knew it was going to kill you eventually? You'd probably stop because you'd value your life. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, but my husband might if it tasted like coffee, So that's the thing. Is that I think what you're saying is that life is a pleasure and pain balance. And the truth of the matter is that the symptoms that we feel when we're unwell emotionally, when we're in depression, when we're in anxiety, when we're in physical disease, when we're in physical discomfort, these things are actually a message from the body to say, hey, something's not right here. You need to sort this out. And so what allopathic medicine obviously is doing is saying, well, that's the symptom. Let's get rid of that so you can still eat the crap you were eating before. And you can still have the same bad feelings, and you can still have the lack of forgiveness, all the rubbish that was going on in your life previously.
Yes.
And what you're saying is, no, that's, you can't carry on like that. Your body's trying to tell you, do something differently.
Bingo. So there is quite a basic analogy. You've probably heard it before. So you're busy driving in the car, and then this damn engine light starts flashing. Bam, bam. You try and ignore it for a bit, whatever. And then it starts flashing so much you can't ignore it anymore. Damn it. So then you're left with two options. One, you can take the light bulb out the dash so it stops bugging you. Or B, you could check the engine.
Right. And some people literally do take the light bulb off the dash, right?
You have pain and inflammation, you take an anti-inflammatory. You have fever, you take something to reduce your fever. It's like you got acid, you block your acid. And that's just taking the light bulb out the dash. And, the engine will still seize at some point. You don't know. So increasing body awareness is incredibly important because most of us are switched off from our bodies and minds and hearts, which I know you'd specialize more in. So what happens is half the journey is learning to understand your body and what it's trying to tell you, and then following what your body is telling you to bring you back to health. And sometimes I try and just facilitate people understanding their bodies properly, just to explain to them what's happening on what physiological process, so then they can visualize and understand it, and then see how it's leading to the disease state. And then they can take ownership and control of the situation, and then change things.
Yeah, I guess it's about understanding. I think is probably a big part of your job. You know what I mean? If I can understand how this is going to fix something for me, then I'm probably willing to go through the pain of vegetarian or juicing every day, or not drinking all that coffee, or not eating sugar anymore, whatever the case may be. If I know for an absolute conviction that that's going to help me.
Yes.
But
okay, so you see the dart. You hear the dart already.
Right. You must spend a lot of time trying to get people to know with conviction that it's worth doing.
Yes.
Because
well, when I start a consultation, my aim is to help my patients master their health. And in order to master your health, you need to know what's going on in your body. Right. And so we just take a deeper dive into what's going on in the body. And then it's just, and then you can understand why your body does the things it does. It's very empowering, because then you can then start making changes. And now you can value the change, because you know what effect it'll have if you don't change it. And then you start getting that incentive to master your health. And who doesn't want to be healthy and happy and vibrant and, doing what you're supposed to be doing? I mean, we have so much sort of disease and misery and stuff around that, it's a very good idea to change that direction, and don't just not be sick, but have optimal health, be your full self, where you can actually do what you're supposed to be doing, conquering those goals you've always wanted to. You don't want to settle for just not being sick, so, and we settle for like, okay, I don't have a sore toe today, so I'm fine. Meanwhile, we get exhausted at 2 p.m. and we've gotten overweight and our abdomen is like too big, and we get this twitch in our shoulder, but it wasn't as bad as the toe, so it's fine. You want to keep refining and improving as you grow.
Yeah,
which is great.
Actually, that makes me think of my friend Gerald, who we were playing tennis together the one day, and he got this pain in the bottom of his diaphragm, like a spasm cramp. Anyway, he went off to the doctor. The doctor says, "I'm surprised you're alive."
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're alive, he says to him. Anyway, so it completely transformed his life. He said to me, "Ange, I had no idea." He said, "I thought that this was just what you felt like when you were 50-something years old." He said, "Since I started eating properly, since I exercise in the right way," he's also doing that whole cold water thing, the Wim Hof cold water.
Yes,
for him, it's amazing. It's freaking cold. But it's like a lifesaver for him. And he says, "I had no idea that it was possible to feel this good. And that the way that I felt had to do with my lifestyle and had nothing to do with my age at all." Because you just slide into it slowly. You just you deteriorate over time, and then at some point you just think that's what it is to be 50.
It's like when there's a bad smell in the room, you kind of get used to it over time. So it's okay. And only if you leave the room and come back, you're like, geez, it's actually pretty bad. So we start accepting things, and like, why not have more energy? Like, why not feel like you want to conquer the world? It's these are possible, and even just the idea that they're not, and just accepting that you're old and gonna just die soon. You're just like just pick it up and just die quietly. My sister was told, because she's I think 3 years older than me, and she went to the physio with a pain, and she was, and the physio said, what exercises are you doing? She says, "You're like mid-40s now. You shouldn't be doing that. You've got to be doing gentle exercises." And I was like, what? You don't want to surrender to age and disease. You want to just take your energy, your power, and your vitality back, and work with it. And we each have our Achilles. I got to tell you, sometimes more than one. And the key is you need to know how to identify it, so that you can, like, if you were Achilles and you knew the only part of you that was mortal was your damn ankle, you just wear boots that are really strong all the time. So the thing is, we don't really always
in moderation.
in moderation.
Slip-slops in moderation. Cheesecake in moderation.
So I think part of what I do is to try and help people identify where their Achilles are.
Right.
And sometimes it's like quite hidden from us, and you just need to have it pointed out to you, and then you're like, oh, okay, yes, well, I better do something about that. Yeah. A big trick with that is the iridology.
Well, I was just about to ask you about that, actually.
Yes.
Iridology is fascinating and a really powerful diagnostic tool, isn't it?
Very, very,
Okay.
very.
I've got
greatly underutilized.
Dangerous knowledge. So tell us all about iridology. For those who've never heard about iridology, give us the lower down. Go on.
Yes, for sure. So iridology literally is the study of the iris. But, obviously in anatomy, or even in just high school biology, most of us are taught that the iris is just muscles that contract and dilate the pupil. So most docs find it a waste of time to study muscle tissue. Anyway, it turns out there's two reasons why it's worth it. The first is your iris is unique in its appearance. The security industry have known this for decades.
Right.
And they use it in the biometric iris scan for identification. And even these new facial recognition software on cell phones take cognizance of your eye and its markings. So these marks and colorations are undeniably there. The question is, why are they there? Why would whoever designed the body or even evolution put them there? I don't believe there's any part of the body that doesn't have a function. And so there's must. And one of the first docs that figured it out, Dr. Bernard Jensen in America, he noticed his heart attack patients, if they had survived, when he did a follow-up with them, he noticed all had a new mark in their eye. And he started comparing these heart attack patients. They all had it in the same spot. He's like, no, there's something going on. So he started his life's work of analyzing the appearance of the iris with different disease conditions. Then after about 20 years of this, he got enough data to come to a conclusion. And the iris is a detailed map of the body, which I call the missing user manual, man. I know
that's what we've been looking for.
I know it goes against our nature to read user manuals. That's like a sign.
Only men. The women are completely comfortable with that.
It takes a bit to get over that. But we usually, when we look at a user manual, usually means we've given up and we've failed. But okay, I'm trying to change that start. It is quite a good strategy, because I hear if you find the right language in a user manual, the first section tells you about how not to break it, your new gadget,
right?
And how to use it properly. And if you have that sort of information about your own body, health becomes so much easier. So much easier. Like it's like a little bit. It's a bit ironic that we're always looking out of them, but not into them.
Okay,
our manual is just, it's there for everyone to see. And I guess this is also why we need others around us to help us see what we don't see. And, it tells us three things, this map of your body. Number one, what your body tends to do wrong.
Right.
So unfortunately, we all have body it comes with getting a body, and they're the first to let us down under strain. So if you master those, you just don't get sick anymore. It's pretty awesome. The second part is past damage. It's keeping a track record of any significant damage that's occurred to your body since you were born, which is quite useful, because then we know which areas may possibly need to be repaired if your body hasn't done it already, because obviously your body's tirelessly trying to heal itself. So we need to always remember that our body's ability to heal is incredible. Anyway, the third is potential weakness. We're all born into a family. There's always some genetic chronic illness waiting. You want to be pre-warned, so you can just turn it the hell off, so it stops hassling you, and you just dodge this chronic illness business, I think. So and that's one way to look at where your Achilles is using iridology. But there's obviously many diagnostic tools out there you can utilize. And gene testing is awesome, and organic acid, and
With the second one, you were talking about old diseases that may or may not have been healed. If it's already been healed, will it still show up in your eyes, like almost like an old scar area, or how does it? What happens there?
Sure. In my experience, it usually does. As in, you can have a mark from when you were 5 with a bad tonsillitis and a tonsillectomy, and it stays there when you're 50. It's so what happens is iridology does tell you where to look, but you obviously need other diagnostic tools to confirm that that is still a problem or needs some work. So it just points you check out that area and that area, and then you can check them out carefully and see where these Achilles are.
That's pretty cool, because iridology, because it's not well understood in our culture, in our society, as a way of diagnosing, it's like one of those things. I love a bit of magic, right? Kinesiology is like that. Yes. It's completely magical. If you don't understand it, you're just like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? How did you know that? How did this come? How is this possible? And iridology is like that. It's like you look in somebody's eye and you're like, oh yeah, you know, what happened with your liver like 25 years ago? Oh, geez, I had jaundice. You know, that's amazing. How the hell did you know this? Like, oh, you know, I can look in your eye, but it's almost voodoo. It's so exciting to have this magic ability.
It can seem that way. It is a science. It is a science. So,
no, I know that. I know that.
But I mean, it's definitely. And I also feel that it probably was utilized a lot more back in the day. You know, before we had MRIs, CT scans, ultrasounds, X-rays. How did doctors and healers see inside the body? You know, if they try to open someone up, they'd die of sepsis. So they had to look on the outside to see what's happening on the inside. And the iris is just one map, but it's a wonderful way of assessing where to look, and it's excellent. I do enjoy it. I do it with every patient the first time I see you. It's like, oh, it tells us basically what your body's concerned about. And interestingly enough, it's not necessarily what you as the patient are concerned about. Okay. So you need both sides of the story here. You know, and especially us guys, we kind of ignore illness until it's like death's door.
Yeah, right.
And then,
until you're dying of a cold.
The man flu is different. That's just terrible. so yeah. But I mean, like, so we do need to. Sometimes I have a patient coming in and they've got this rash, which is why they came in. And then I do a check, and their liver's failing, and I'm like, listen, we need to work on your liver here, and just because that's what your body needs, and then we'll fix your rash on the side. You know, so you got to see what your body needs and give it what it needs.
Yeah. It's just the gyroscope going, the dashboard light saying engine failure, here's your rash. You know, did you not notice you were nauseous every day, and that you every time you had a cup of coffee or every time you had fatty food, you felt like you were going to die? No, I didn't notice.
Maybe it's telling you something.
No, not me.
There's this one book.
I don't drink coffee. Are you funny?
Not at all.
No, I didn't drink coffee.
We all have our kryptonite. It's very natural to have kryptonite. And, you know, kryptonite in small doses makes Superman not so boring.
Gin and tonic.
Yeah, so no, it's fun. You know, as long as you balance out of good things, you can still live a little. So there was this one book. I love there's so much wonderful information out there. There's one book, even the title caught my eye. It says, cancer is not a disease, it's a survival mechanism.
Ah.
Yeah. So when
that's the title.
Yeah. So now when the stats are out, which say that 1 in 4 people are going to die of cancer, it's so rampant and so bad that it's a sign that we switched off to our bodies, and we don't know how to help them to function in a way where we're not going to the survival mechanism of creating a cancerous node to absorb every toxin that we keep imbibing every day, or bad emotions we keep pumping into. It's often a last resort, and so, you know, this is why. And like, I went to the Pink Parasol launch, and it's a very noble initiative about breast cancer awareness, etc.
Yeah.
And even one of the most reputable professors of oncology was saying, cancer can happen to anyone. And something inside me got quite annoyed by that, because that's just saying, oh, there's nothing you can do about it,
Right.
which is totally untrue, you see.
Yeah.
And we need to keep looking at the causes. And when you dig into your symptoms and look at which systems are letting you down, you can sort of take control of that situation and minimize these risk factors of chronic illness.
Yeah. I was watching a fascinating documentary by a woman who's doing a master's study on spontaneous healing. And spontaneous healing is, well, she was going to do, I think she was going to do a study on the placebo effect. And then she said, no, hold on, this is very interesting because these people keep telling me about spontaneous healing. And spontaneous healing, for those of you who don't really know what it is, it's not that I heal immediately or suddenly. It means that I've been to the doctor and I've been so far with medicine that they've eventually said there's nothing we can do for you.
Wow.
And then I pursue something else, massage and kinesiology and Reiki and diet and nutrition and lifestyle and stress management and meditation and blah, blah, blah. And all of these things that I've been pursuing. And then the next time I go and see the doctor, he's like, maybe you were never sick. I don't know how this is possible because you seem fine to me. And then all these records of having been on your death's door and suddenly, and so that's what spontaneous healing is. And she's been doing this research about spontaneous healing. And she went and interviewed, I think she interviewed 1,000 people. And she asked them what they considered to be the reasons or the things that they'd done to help themselves to become well. And obviously there were massive amounts of things. They'd all tried many, many different things. And she distilled it down to the 9 common things that every single one of them had done.
Yes.
Only 9 common things. Diet was one of them.
Yes.
Exercise was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And forgiveness, emotional well-being, learning how to be emotionally well, letting go of old stuff was one of them.
Yes. It's I think that's a wonderful testament to how powerful the body's ability to heal itself and the spirit and the mind, and the heart to heal itself is incredible. And so it's also in functional medicine, you can actually help every disease condition because you can always make systems of your body better than they were. And there's no hopeless case. You'll never, I'll never not try and help someone, or tell someone that, listen, there's nothing we can do, just, go and make sure your orders, everything's in order kind of thing. Because what happens is the body's life force can be tapped into. We just need to know how to do that. And these are testaments from people on how to do that. It's very positive to hear. It just brings you hope,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm sure that you must have some amazing case studies that'll blow our brains. Would you like to share a few of those with us? I would love to hear about some of the stuff that you've come across or you've worked with that's just been like.
Yes. I mean, I've been in the privileged position to help people that have been struggling, and it's quite an honor to be given that privilege. And there's quite a few cases, just to name a few, which are amazing. The one, a young girl, she was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis at 8, and this is a very severe, debilitating autoimmune condition which causes you to be in pain permanently. And your joints, they don't form properly, and you actually start not having, you need to eventually get hip replacements, knee replacements, often in teenage years and such. So when I got to see her, she was on about 5 different immune suppressant medications in order to maintain so that you wouldn't have so much pain, you see.
Can I just interrupt you there? Is arthritis always an immune system response to something?
Aha. So you're cottoning onto something very important. Okay. It's called inflammation. Right. So inflammation is probably one of our biggest enemies to health and longevity. And arthritis is just inflammation of the joints. Now, obviously, we differentiate that. I mean, the old school differentiation is there's rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, and juvenile arthritis would be put into the rheumatoid arthritis category, just happening at a very young age. And but it's basically on analyzing the system, because the medications are very intense to keep the pain at bay and just minimize the suffering. And I mean, obviously, because most of them are immunosuppressants, you become vulnerable to every infection coming past, and you've got to live such a secluded, isolated life, just in case you get sick. Never mind the toxic buildup on the liver and the other side effects. So she was looking for another way. Mom brought her through, and then over the journey of it took about 4 years or so. She's off every pharmaceutical medication. She hasn't had any pain attacks of any note for 3 years now, and now she's refining her health further, because pain is obviously something we treat. I mean, it's so uncomfortable, life debilitating. You start there, but then the process of refining goes through, and just finding the weak point. Hers was severely the digestive tract, and which is massively involved with autoimmunity, and you've got to start there. There was another one, like a middle-aged.
Just before you go on to the next one. Yeah. So with her, you started with diet? Were you healing her digestive tract? Were you doing like the whole bone broth and digestive enzymes and all that kind of stuff to heal the digestive tract, or was it that she was sensitive to stuff, or what? How does that work when you're looking at the digestive tract for her, for instance?
Yeah. I mean,
so what could possibly be happening there?
So obviously, when you analyze individuals, we all have different things going on in our system. So with her digestive tract, there was a particularly harmful bacteria that was continually eating away at the mucin lining and making her gut lining. Anything that she ingested was coming in contact directly with the gut lining, and it was triggering an inflammatory response on the gut lining to food sensitivities, to toxins and pathogens. And when she'd be exposed to any of these, and her immune system would overreact intensely and create inflammation through her whole body. So it was a process of identifying the harmful microbe, and then we're almost weeding it out the garden and cultivating some good microbes in its place, and building up that mucin lining on the gut, and then helping refine the diet to try and heal that gut lining on a day-to-day basis, just to take you out of this emergency inflammatory zone. And I mean, it does vary from case to case, the actual cause, but in hers, it was a very harmful bacteria.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to give you back the screen.
Oh, no worries.
Tell us about the other one.
Okay, well, how about the temporary paralysis? This was a very fascinating case. So a young girl, she's about 14, and she started experiencing temporary paralysis. I mean, the first time I saw her, she came in a wheelchair, and she'd sort of checked at the epilepsy clinic and done several MRIs, and the neurologists couldn't find what was wrong with her. And because she'd had quite a traumatic childhood so far, they diagnosed conversion disorder, which is where you actually mentally create your disease state. And part of our treatment would involve injections, you see. And when she'd come in a paralyzed state, she didn't even flinch slightly when I was giving her the injections. But when she'd walk in, she was quite sensitive. She would notice. It was quite clear that there was more to this than psychosomatic. And yeah, it was quite a long investigative process. Identified that she got nerve inflammation of an area of her spinal cord, which would inflame at periods of time with extreme stress or toxic overload or infection, and this would actually trigger the paralysis. And so we've started to work on clearing some of these toxins that have been put in the system, and also helping her immune system protect against viral activations. And yeah, she's been able to function, and we're going to talk about attacks, where she's had these attacks where she loses her legs, and she's had less and less of them, and she can go now for years at a time, and no loss of her legs, and she's not on any pharmaceuticals to blame it all on the psyche. But it was a journey she also had to go on in sorting out her emotional responses from her traumatic childhood, which was part of her healing process. And it just shows how emotions and life experience can directly affect our physiology as well.
And also, I mean, I know I've heard many, many times from the various things that I've watched and read and whatnot that stress is a very, very big factor in well-being, in creation of disease, in turning on those genetic predispositions to disease. And so actually, this is kind of where someone like me would come in, because I teach people how the mind works to create their feeling experience. And so, those people who suffer from a lot of stress, this is the way they're processing the world. And to learn not to process the world in a way that creates this constant amount of stress for you is really good for the health. You know what I mean? If stress is being 90% responsible for disease, learning not to be stress bunny, understanding how you are yourself creating that stress, what it is, the thought process, how your past thinking, how the habitual way of using your mind is the way that you get yourself engaged in the stress.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating to see, you were speaking about life energy earlier. It's so fascinating to see for me with my clients how people come in depressed or anxious or not well, and how as we work together, their energies just starts to rise. And you can see it when they walk in the door, like they just start to become alive in their faces. Yeah. And you must see that with your work too, how they just start to become alive in front of you.
That's wonderful to actually be able to see patients become the real selves, not this diminished and in pain and suffering, and sort of taking control of your power. Like all the biohackers out there, the Dave Asprey's and Ben Greenfields and whatnot, they all agree, as well as the functional medicine practitioners, that stress is incredibly harmful, and it encourages disease, and it actually shortens your lifespan drastically. And so mastering stress is incredible and essential for health. And the days, like, we live in stressful times, so I think the work that you do almost is changing your perspective on what's going on, which makes you realize that it's actually not that bad. And then to see that we actually create a lot of the stress on ourselves.
That's
that's
like 90% of all our stress is created in our own mind. We make it up.
That's the whip, the self-work.
And look, we have a positive intention for it. You know what I mean? All the things that we do that are so stressful for us, all the ways that we react, this is a symptom, again, of the misunderstandings that we have about how we can be okay. We're looking to be okay, and so we try to control the world, and then that causes us to be stressed. And we try to prove ourselves, and that causes us to be stressed. And we're afraid of failure, and that causes us to be stressed. And do you know what I mean? We have all of these things that we're trying to do, and we get so stressed about them because we think that outside experience has to be perfect so that I can be well. And I can feel okay, and I can stop having that feeling of suffering inside of myself. And this is the great misunderstanding. It's if you knew how you were actually the one doing it, and how these methods that you were using to control it were actually the trap that was causing the problem. It's like to watch people wake up to that. Or when I woke up to it, it was like, hallelujah. It's just, I never realized the methods that I was using to try to feel good were the traps that were making me feel bad. And I just, my whole life, I just kept doing them because I didn't know any better.
I mean, I think it's definitely the majority of us. So,
yeah.
You know, these survival mechanisms, what we need to be in place so we can be happy. You know, I can't be happy until this is like this.
Yeah.
You know, until I'm like that, until I've got this. You know, we just give away our happiness all the time.
And those are then, because you put your happiness on having that.
Yes.
When the universe does, the world does what the world does, and you don't get what you want, then by default you actually have to be unhappy. So you're creating that experience of unhappiness by thinking that something has to be in place in a certain way to create happiness. Meanwhile, this moment took 13.8 billion years to get here. 13.8 billion years for this moment in front of you to get here. And we go, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's stressing me out. Well, should we rewind 13.8 billion years so this moment doesn't look like this? What do you want, you know?
Yeah, I suppose it puts things in perspective. You know, we're like the center of the universe.
I tell you what.
And then we go, hang on, we're part of this massive path, and getting stressed about the little things is like ridiculous. I suppose.
It's ridiculous. But boy, do they want to slap at us, because we have a lot of preferences as we age. We have a lot of ideas about what things have to look like and how they have to be.
Yeah, that's what they say, the elderly. They're very challenging and cantankerous. We've got to protect ourselves from slipping into these habits. Yeah.
Tell us one more fabulous case study.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's more than one case, but chronic fatigue. It's incredible how people are willing to accept a certain level of energy as okay. It's like become so entrenched in patients' lives that they consider this the new normal. You know, like having to sleep at 2 p.m. and you know, running out of energy after 20 minutes of exercise. And you know, you kind of start living a half-life where you got to maximize your efficiency and the energy you have in order to get by. And the key I've found in chronic fatigue is you need to really see what is draining that energy, because your body should naturally be full of energy. So the key is to see where it's being drained. And I've noticed in quite a few patients, obviously not each one's unique, we look for one of the 3 chronic fatigue-causing viruses, such as Epstein-Barr, Coxsackie, and cytomegalovirus. And these viruses, I know it's quite a hot topic now, you know, the coronavirus and COVID-19 and such, you know, the understanding of viruses. There's still a lot we need to learn. You see, once you've conquered a virus once and you've got the antibody, it can't circulate in your bloodstream, but I'm afraid it doesn't die. It just retreats into your tissues. And then while it retreats, depending where it retreats to, what happens is every pathogen that we've killed and can't get out of our body lives inside our liver to contain it so it doesn't affect the rest of us. And what happens is when it sits there, our liver, if it's struggling, becomes a toxic environment for the virus, and it mutates, and then it attacks us again and again. And so now we end up spending 50% of our energy ineffectively keeping a virus at bay. And we've got 50% of energy to do the rest of the things. And so now we start having to tap into our adrenals, and then our adrenals eventually give out because they're not limitless. So, I can't tell you how once you start identifying the drain, the energy drain, and you try and take that away and eradicate or minimize it, that your energy naturally comes back.
So can you get rid of these viruses once you've identified them?
Good question. So I know this is going to sound disappointing at first, but it's not if you hear out. So you can't actually ever eliminate them entirely. There'll always be traces of them in the liver and such. But what you do is you make your immune system in such a way that it doesn't drop to allow it to reactivate, and you keep your liver as healthy as possible to help contain them, and then they don't affect you anymore. So they become just a reminder to your immune system of threats, and they don't become something that you perpetually fight. So yeah, they become inconsequential, and you just get on with life. Yeah.
So it's really about, as always, about keeping all of these systems at peak performance so that they can keep you healthy.
Yes. The parts of our body are incredible at what they do. You know, like the evolutionary process. I mean, the liver itself is amazing, the superhero of the body. And we kind of just abuse it relentlessly, and then when it packs up, you're like, well, why is it not doing its job anymore?
Oh, come on now. This is so unfair. I just drank 3 bottles of wine and ate like slop chips all night last night, and why is my liver giving me a hard time? This seems really unreasonable.
So if you occasionally do something good for it as well, not just that, you kind of look after it, but it'll look after you as well. So you got to help it, and it'll help you. Friends, it kind of looks after you if you look after it, and it doesn't mean. I mean, it's designed to take hits for us, so but if you do something nice thing for it, then it can take another hit and not complain. So it's like a balance, like you say. You got to find the balance.
I think that what it makes me think of is when we don't always. Well, I see this with my clients. There's not always this idea of treating your body with loving kindness.
Oh boy.
You know what I mean? It's like the only time you notice it is when it's giving you a hard time. Actually, it's just going, dashboard light, I'm giving you a warning, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But the feeling is that it's let you down. And I hear this a lot when people are in pain, or when they're sick, or when they're struggling. They feel like their body or their mental emotional state has let them down in some way. Instead of, it hasn't let me down. It's speaking loud and clear about what it needs and wants. It's telling me that there's a problem here so that I can help it. And so, right. And so when people get into ill health, there's often this very hateful experience between them and their body. They don't treat their body with loving kindness. And from a mind-body medicine perspective, in terms of like emotional, the way that your emotions affect the state of your organs, the state of your systems, when you have this hate relationship with your body, it's very difficult to create healing on a mind-body level if you're not treating your body with loving kindness. And when it comes to nutrition and taking care of your body and exercising and sleeping properly and eating well, that's loving kindness too. You wouldn't.
I mean, a key example of this, what you're saying is autoimmune conditions. I mean, these are like massively on the rise, autoimmunity, varying from just eczema to rhinitis to MS to rheumatoid arthritis to ulcerative colitis to Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and patients are all told this is your immune system attacking your body. So now attacking your body. Yeah. So now your immune system has turned on you and is attacking you for no reason. And when you get told that, like, how are you supposed to not feel betrayed by your body if it does that? And just by accepting that, you've accepted that your body has turned on itself and you're no longer whole. And so your immune system it's your best friend. It'll never turn on you for no reason. And if it's turning on you, you need to find out why, and you need to then address it so it becomes your best friend again. Now, sometimes our friends will cause pain because they know that we need to grow, and we need to grow. And I point it out. And then you're like, okay, let's just get rid of those friends. Like, man, they're just rubbish.
Yeah, I want to grow. Let's get rid of the friends.
Then I can stay like this.
Yeah.
And our immune system, so there's lessons we have to learn. And so our immune system will never attack itself for no reason. Often the case, it's actually attacking a pathogen that is hidden within our tissues that we're unaware of, which is now causing the immune response. It's continuously fighting on your behalf, and now the immune system is seen as the enemy, and now it gets bombed. No, I mean, with no doubt, the immune system can trigger such an inflammatory response that you end up in such debilitating pain that you have to bring some relief while you're finding the cause, but you still got to keep looking, because I do believe that your immune system can come back into balance, and yeah, we'll get on top of that inflammation. Yes.
Yeah. Fascinating. So, you're a vegetarian, not a vegan.
Well, I've become pescatarian now, so I'm eating something. Yes. It's quite a massive debate, as in what's the best diet, and I'm afraid there's no easy answer to the best diet. I'm even reading two both really highly regarded professionals, one a gastroenterologist and the other actually a psychiatrist and functional medicine practitioner, and they're such complete opposites. One is, it's called fiber fueled, and it's talking about how you need plant diversity, massively plant diversity, and vegetarian all the way. And then there's the carnivore diet, which is just only meat, and these plants for us. And they've both got science behind them, and so now
success stories also.
And success
stories.
So it's so hard to know. The key here is you need to know what's best for your body.
Yes.
And there's no one diet. So this is why the more you find out about your body and how it responds to things, you can refine your diet accordingly. And it's a journey. It's a journey, So I can't tell people that vegetarian diets are the best, because it might be disastrous for someone. And, you got to find your diet, and by understanding your body, you'll find, and it will eventually, once you wake up to your body enough, it'll tell you if it likes it or not. I know then you also have to listen sometimes, which is hard. So we all have our quick times.
Don't just carry on as we were, we can pay attention.
Again, we mustn't be hard on ourselves. It's a gentle process of evolution. So, we don't want to beat ourselves up about it, but, it's a journey.
Yeah. So tell me, with iridology, could you get a sense of whether a new eating plan or a new way of eating is more effective on the body or not? Can you see that with iridology? Like, let's say I went from being a carnivore to a vegetarian or a vegan. Would you see that there was not enough protein coming in, or that my body was responding well, or that my digestive system was better or worse as a result of that? Could you see that change over time?
So I find actually using more current information is better suited to your current dietary handling. So iridology can sometimes tell you of something which happened when you were 6, and which is not really applicable to now. And it can give you some guidelines into, which direction you should go, but it's not telling you what's happening now. And so one has to assess in other ways what's happening right now. So we bring other diagnostic tools to the fore. I like live blood analysis or dark field microscopy, where you can actually see if you have a bit of precursors of candida, or you can see if you've got the starting factors of H. pylori, or you can see if you have parasitic elements, or if it's inflammation of the gut, or you can see if you're digesting protein well or fat well, and that gives you insights. And a GI map can give you more insights as well. I have noticed in iridology, and this is just the last 15 years I've been doing it, and such as I've noticed the color of the eye, particularly in the center of the eye, is very informative to which microbiome is developing in your gut. And so, I mean, this is just sort of still in theoretical status, but I've heard that there's 4 basic microbiome states, and just to identify which one. And there's certain diets which are better for certain microbiome states. Like, for example, if you have had Helicobacter pylori, and you'll find that dairy is a huge trigger for you. And if you've had massive yeast candida infestations, bread, sugar, and beer are a massive trigger. And then say you've had bacterial overgrowth, then all of a sudden these fermented foods, which everyone preaches about, actually causes great harm. And you can pick up signs of that, but I do like to verify on a more current test as well, just so that you can be quite precise. Because the white lies tell us about the sclerology, tells us about the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll look there, just to see,
Okay.
and the blood just to see, but yeah. But your body also tells you, it tells you. I know we ignore it a lot, but there's a little voice that says, I don't feel so lekker.
Yeah, or I don't feel any better, or I do feel better, or whatever the case may be.
Yes, yeah. We need to become our own doctors, and we need to observe and analyze our bodies, understand when you're getting a symptom, what possibly caused it, so that you can try not do that again, etc., etc. Yeah, so there's quite a lot you can do.
Now, I noticed something that I had never noticed before. About maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I got flu. People say I've got flu, but what they mean is I've got a cold.
Yeah,
I'd only ever had a cold before, but I got flu, and it was
man flu.
hectic. It was so unpleasant. I was reading the symptoms on Dr. Google, and Dr. Google says sometimes in children you get nausea and throwing up. I'm like, how old am I, for God's sake? It's like, bleh. But anyway, I had this flu thing, and I was sitting just fine in the morning, and by about 12 o'clock, I wasn't feeling so great. And the first time I brushed my teeth after that, I could not brush my teeth because my teeth were so sensitive. It was the first time I'd ever noticed that. And ever since that, I've noticed that if my teeth feel a little bit sensitive, something's coming. And so I up the vitamins Right. It's like I never realized that actually your teeth being sensitive, this is a sign that maybe there's a much inflammation or there's something going on that's reacting or responding to something. And suddenly, because I had it so badly when I had that flu, I thought, wow, this is a warning sign that something's going on. I need to pay attention to it. So that's the weirdest little thing like that can really be going, hey, you don't feel bad right now, but your teeth are sore. Something's coming. Something's going on. Be careful.
It's a gift then. Do you see how you've turned something which you could have seen as a really annoying and painful and woe is me that I get sensitive teeth. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's a great asset because it warns you, listen, there's something coming, and then you intervene. And our body often talks to us like that. And you just find a wonderful example. And the more switched on we get, the more we can find out what's best for our bodies.
Fantastic. Well, we've just over an hour already, so that was the most interesting conversation. Thank you so much. But I think an hour we need to draw the line at some point. I've put your website address at the bottom so that people can get hold of you if they would like to. What is your email address that they should contact you on to practice if they would like to make an appointment or come to see you?
Oh, there's also the website here. You can book on the website because you can read up about what we do and the practitioners here. So we've got a chiropractor and health coach. So it's www.perfectpractice.com. You did.
Look how genius I am.
We're way ahead of your game there.
I'll tell you what, So you can go and book online, or you can get Robin's details from this website.
Oh, yeah. I've got the landline for bookings with reception is 011-706-2786. And you all can call as well.
All right. So if you want to tap into this very special knowledge, this very special way of working with the body, if you're tired of just treating the symptoms and you're tired of just being like full of being sick all the time, and you actually want to get to the bottom of being properly healthy, this is the kind of person that I believe in. This is the kind of thing that I think that you should do to really regain your health. And it's time for us all to become responsible for ourselves. In the past, it used to be the doctor fixes me and I don't ask any questions. And that is not the case anymore. So we now have to become responsible for our own health. And this is a really good way to do it, to work with somebody like Robin who's able to direct you and help you and investigate and find a way with you. And just from my point of view, if you are looking for emotional healing, if you're looking for well-being, if you're looking to learn to love yourself, I'm going to pop my email address up there, info@cloud9.co.za, and my website, www.cloud9.co.za. You're welcome to pop on there and see what I do, Angela Hardy. And for those people who've been watching this and are interested in having a look at other things that I do and other things that Robin does, we will put our details below this Facebook post. So put your details below the Facebook post, please, Robin, and I'll put all my details. And just so you know that I do a free coaching session every Saturday morning. It's called Angel Circle. Everybody's welcome to join. You can pop on any time. And if you'd like to join Angel Circle, then get hold of me on that email address and I'll send you a link onto the Zoom session that we do every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And come and join us there. And then you can go and have a look at my website and all the things that I do and see the freebies and the videos and all the lots and lots and lots of good stuff available for you, absolutely free. You don't have a YouTube channel where you do videos and any of that kind of stuff, Robin?
No, it's quite new to me. I have done a couple of seminars for the Institute of Integrative Medicine on organic acid and GI map stool tests, and I've chatted with Umama doulas, but I don't have my own channel, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm still going to get there one day.
Yeah, man, if you're busy doing what you're doing, actually face-to-face with clients, then there's no need to be messing around elsewhere, you know.
I am doing now Zoom consults from afar, so you can actually do some iridology and assessments and functional assessments from afar. So if you can't get all the way to Joey's,
you can come online. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a sweet pleasure talking to you this afternoon, and I hope that anybody who's been listening has found some value in that, in some direction that maybe they can help themselves to start to at least find a way to go forward with their health. It's been really a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, good luck to everyone. May you live your optimal health.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye.